Hey y'all, welcome back to the channel. It's the middle of November here in Tennessee. The leaves are falling, it's getting colder, and in today's video, I'm getting the old CJ5 ready for the winter. You can see in preparation for today, I went ahead and pulled the top off, took the roll bar out because that's going to interfere with what I'm doing today. Donated the top to the M38A1 because roof space is at a premium these days, and hopefully they'll keep it more preserved until I can get around to working on it. But back here, this is going to be the star of today's show. This is a Meyers half top. I don't think it was a factory option, but it was for sure an aftermarket option. I'm going to say like you could order it out of like a Sears catalog or something. I've made several posts on my Instagram over the last year, really, since I've been working on the stinky chicken. And I knew once it started getting colder, I was going to want some kind of top. And I've always liked the way the hard tops look on these old Jeeps. So on a cooler morning, I drove it to work and I thought, man, I really need to find the top. Made a post, and one of my followers down in Georgia reached out to me. Super nice dude. He said he had it sitting at a barn, had no immediate plans for it, and I was welcome to come by it. It was a fair price. So me and my buddy Reece, we hopped in the truck, and I don't know, 12 or 14 hours later, we got back at like 1 o'clock in the morning, unloaded it, set it right here, and this is where it's been sitting ever since, and that was probably a couple months ago. But I think it's finally got cold enough I can justify putting this thing on. So let me set this thing down and we'll get right into it. I'll tell you what, every time I turn the camera on, either a dog starts barking or somebody's got their leaf blower turned on. Anyways, got it on there. It wasn't the most graceful, but did the job. Gives you more of an idea of what it's going to look like. I think these look so cool on these old Jeeps, especially these half tops. And I've not seen a lot of half tops that have this design. It's usually like a flat all steel roof, more of like a box than this nice little radius we got here. I'm really excited about it too because I'm taller and that means more headroom back here for me. So now that I got the doors revealed here, the way these work is the hinge, all this right here is going to bolt all down through here. So there'll be several little screw holes all down through here. Now it does mean stuff like this right here, like the factory door hanger piece right here, that's got to come off. I think these do interfere with the doors, but I think I'm going to modify the doors around that because I need that little snap for my bikini top. I think maybe all these snaps have to come off. So I'll get this side cleaned up. I already cleaned up that side. I could tell it was going to be a problem. And then I can throw a door up here and we'll see how that looks. So all this is cleaned up, should be ready for the door. I think I might go ahead and get that snap off there too. That looks like it might get in the way. I'll tell you what, about had a heart attack first time I put this on here. Because look at how much shorter the top is than the windshield. Which is not perfectly centered right now, but you can see even on this side, like the windshield's a hair wider than what this is. And I've not really seen this kind of top on CJ5s. I see a ton of them on like flat fenders. And for a minute, I thought I had the wrong top here, but I believe this is correct. When I put the doors on, it should look a lot better. Now it is an old top. It does need some repairs. You can see like right here, this is kind of bent up. And then the tin or the aluminum, whatever it's made out of, it doesn't really match up real great in some spots. Like right there, there's a big overhang. But then like down here, it just barely even clears. But on this side, there's all this overhang right here. It's like they got off going down through here. So there's a bunch of nuts inside of here and a bunch of amazing little flathead screws all down through here. So I probably will end up just having to draw those out and fix that. I was just going to put it on the way it is and worry about repairs later. Like that right there, that's something I think I really need to fix to make the top fit right. I fixed this right here already. These two little spot welds had broke. I put some screws on the other side and then flattened out this side because the door is going to be shutting right here. So that's why this needs to be flat. Also in this corner, you can see where a bracket was here. This little bracket, the rivets had broke out of. So I'm going to have to go get some big rivets to fix that back. So it's an old top and I can't just throw it on there. That's how these things usually go though. I never can just slam it together. I've always got to do it the right way. You can see on this side too, look at this big old overhang. So I don't know if these probably came in pieces and somebody at Sears or somewhere had to put all the pieces together, but it doesn't look like somebody did a very good job on this one. It looks like maybe those two little spot welds have broke too. Yeah, and this little bracket's all that's really holding that together. You can see where it's bent that bracket out. So I'm gonna chip away at that little stuff real quick. Probably do a time lapse fixing this nonsense. It really stinks. I mean, it doesn't seem like it'd be that hard to do this the right way, but so I'll knock that out real quick and then throw the doors on. I've got this whole side broke free now. I took all them screws out and nuts on the back side. So this is just kind of loose right now. It's already fitting a lot better though. It's not all bowed out. And this side could probably use the same thing. I'm gonna see what happens. It's kind of the opposite though. You know, it's got this big overhang, like too much material, where that one was crowded. I don't know if it's got anything out of square, or maybe they just didn't cut that straight. I'm not sure yet. I think what I need to do, especially before I fasten this back together, is put a door on and maybe put both doors on, square everything up, put a few screws in it, and then I can really get everything settled and in position and then do my final fasteners. This took me way too long to figure out. I think I finally got this the way it's supposed to be. There's a step right here, and I couldn't figure out what the deal was. I was thinking it went down this, but then I had this big old gap because of where the door's at. And then I finally thought, well, maybe it tucks up behind there, and sure enough, it goes right on the inside of your windshield frame there. So I had to take that other little piece for your soft doors off and I had to take the little strap for my air hose here off from my vacuum line. It's on there now though. And it seems like it's working. I've only got a screw down here. I got one there, and then of course these two up here that I started with. I still think I'm going to do the other door, get it hung, because I don't want to put a bunch of holes in it if this thing isn't exactly where it needs to be. I was also getting this big gap up here and I couldn't figure it out, but this is closed up really nice now. I did notch for this because I thought I was going to have to clear that, but it still looks like I would have had to notch a little bit anyways, just like where it's sitting at. Looking at the profile of the door cutout here, it looks like I've got that right about perfect where it needs to be at. So I'm gonna flip around to the other side and get that door knocked out. I think the worst of it's behind me. I've got both doors on now. I've got several spots screwed down. I went ahead and screwed all these down. I've got the corners of the doors at the bottom. Of course, up here at the top, I've still got stuff like this I need to fix back. There's mounting pieces that go back here on the corners. There's one over there I got to put back on. There's some gaps in the door. Like right here, I don't know if it's from it being bent or warped, but I'd like that to come in a little bit tighter. I'm gonna have to look at like maybe moving this door jamb in a little bit or something to make that door pull in a little tighter. Overall though, I'm super happy with how it's turning out. It's looking really good. I've got a bunch of just finishing all this up like I was saying, and then probably tomorrow I gotta figure out how I'm gonna do my bulkhead here. I don't think these came with a bulkhead. Everyone I've talked to usually ends up making their own. So I think I'm gonna pick back up tomorrow, tie up all these loose ends, and then start on this bulkhead. Now it's not exactly the next day, but it's close enough. I got all that stuff tidied up like I was talking about. This is all put back together. Any little bracket like that. There's some brackets down here that need to be mounted down. Just a bunch of little stuff like that that need buttoning up. I did go ahead and put this roll bar in there. Seemed to fit pretty good. I've got it slid all the way back as far as it'll go, but I just transferred the holes from the tub to this roll bar instead of using the holes that were already in it. Because despite what you've seen in this video, I hate putting holes in these old Jeeps. Like, the less you can drill and cut on, the better. This is a necessary evil. I mean, that's just how this top works. And I'll talk a little bit more about my future plans for like all these little screw holes at the end of the video. Either way, it's really close to being done. I've actually drove around town a little bit this way, and it's already getting some looks. A lot of people don't even know what they're looking at. The one thing I want to do to finish this up though is I want my little bulkhead panel here. So I've got a piece of sheet metal laid out here. I've got it marked out where I need to make my first cut. So I think this is 11.5 inches by 3 foot wide. So I'm going to cut it 13.5, and then I'll have an inch lip down there and an inch lip down there, and this is about 1 inch to screw it to. Not decided yet if I'm going to fool with trying to put lips on those sides or if I might just weld some tabs on there or something. But I'm excited to finish this thing up, so let's get after it. Well, I wish I could say that went right on the first time, but that would not be the truth. I had to massage it a little bit here and there. It's just about a 1/4 inch too tall, but it's in there now. I think it looks really good. My gaps look really good. It is a little bowed. I don't know if the top's bowed in or if this is a little bowed for me working it, but it'll all straighten out when I put the screws in it. Ideally, I would have a little seal to go right down there to keep water from running in and stuff, but there's enough holes in the floorboard, I ain't gonna worry about that. So I gotta pop it back off and paint it. A little movie magic, got it all painted up and installed. Man, it took me a while to find this stuff. I was starting to think they didn't make it anymore. It's aluminum paint, as of course it's paint and primer. It blends in pretty good. I think it needs a little bit of age on it because this is, you know, kind of beat up and been sitting out in the sun. Once this ages a little bit, maybe they'll blend together a little better. It doesn't look terrible. On the inside, I did 3 screws on top. I did one over there, one behind here, and one in the middle. On the bottom, I've got a screw right over there, and then also one over on this side. I decided not to go crazy with the screws on that little bulkhead because I really do want to put something down in there to kind of insulate it. But otherwise, super happy with how that turned out. A couple things I do want to mention before I wrap this up. All the seals are gone in this, and I understand that. The window seals, like where the panels come together, that bulkhead I made, like all that needs some seals, some kind of weather stripping to keep it from leaking and also kind of seal up the wind noise. This time around, I didn't think it was worth fooling with, so next year when I take it back off, I'll have all summer and all fall to kind of get all that stuff dialed in and get ready for next winter. The other thing I want to mention is I know I've just went and put a crazy amount of self-tapping screws and little holes all in this Jeep. Like I said earlier, I don't condone it, don't do it, don't cut your Jeep, don't drill holes in the Jeep. But in this scenario, that's just how this top works. Now I want to say all those self-tapping screws, or a lot of them, are temporary. My plan for all that though is also next year when I take the top off, I'll have all my hole locations marked where everything goes. And I'm gonna buy one of those riv nut tools. It's like a rivet, but it's like a threaded insert. And I can drill all those out, stick those inserts in, and then they make like an 832, I think is the smallest standard size you can get, or at least from what I saw. I think that'd be the perfect size for this. I can fill in all those holes with those, put little button head screws on or whatever, and then it'll be a lot easier taking this on and off as the years go by, because obviously self-tapping screws are not made to just come in and out constantly. I'm really happy with how this turned out. The Jeep has a whole new look. I can keep driving it through the winter, through them cold mornings. It was a fun project, something different, something to figure out. Well, I think that about does it for today, but I sure appreciate y'all checking out this week's video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see y'all next time.